Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to have you. Can you go ahead and get us started with a brief introduction?
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Brittany Bonner. I am a fourth grade teacher. I graduated from Columbus State University in 2008, so I'm kind of old. I've been teaching for, I don't even know how many years that is, but I got my master's from Columbus State as well. So I have a bachelor's and a master's. My bachelor's is in early childhood education, and my master's is in curriculum and instruction.
All right.
And I am 37 years old. Y'all want to know that.
So you got rolling straight into it. So how
Okay.
long so you say you're a fourth grade teacher. Is there a specific subject you teach, or do you just teach all of the subjects?
Well, I teach in years prior, before COVID, we were self-contained, and I taught ELA. So that would consist of reading, grammar, and writing. However, now with COVID, we have kind of changed up a little bit. Mr. Doug.
You're good.
Okay. Since COVID, we've kind of changed the protocols just a little bit. So I am self-contained, which means that I teach all subject areas. I teach reading, writing, grammar, language arts, science, social studies, and all of those things.
Awesome. So, and you said you have been, how long? So you're currently at what school?
I teach at Callaway Elementary School in LaGrange, Georgia.
Okay, perfect. And before being at Callaway Elementary, have you taught at other schools as well and other grades?
I have. Upon graduating, I graduated in December of 2008 from Columbus State. And so that was right in the middle of the school year. So I, excuse me, it's the end of the day, guys. We're preparing to go home. But it was in December. And so I had a teacher who, for some reason, decided that they were no longer going to be teaching. And so I took over a position in the middle of the year in December. So I started teaching in Meriwether County, and then I transferred to Troup County. And I've been in Troup County since then.
Perfect. And you've always done fourth grade?
I taught pre-K when I first got out of college. I taught fourth grade for a couple years and third grade. And so that's pretty much all I've taught.
Perfect.
Great for the majority of my teaching career.
Awesome. And you already ran down your education. Are there any other things that are required to be in as a teacher?
Of course, you have to have a background check. Of course, initially, make sure that you are a law-abiding citizen. And of course, you also have to have a bachelor's degree to start teaching, which is a 4-year degree from an accredited college. Okay. And to do that, you also have to finish student teaching and all of that kind of stuff. That's part of your process as well. And once you do that, then you start the recruiting process of trying to get a job. And hopefully it won't be too long after that you will be hired and be able to change lives.
Awesome. So speaking of changing lives, my next question is, what led you to this career?
I've always wanted to be a teacher. However, I did have one specific teacher who, her name was Miss Dana Morton. She taught me in fourth grade. And I still talk to her to this day. I see her often at the gym. She texts me and calls me all the time and checks in with me, my family. And when I decided to be a teacher, and you start the teaching program, you have to write an essay to tell why you want to be a teacher. So I wrote my essay, and I wrote about her, and I made sure that I got a copy of it, and I made sure that I mailed it to her as well, because a lot of times teachers, sometimes we feel like we don't get, the acknowledgement or whatever. So I wanted to make sure that she knew that she was important to me, and that she was one of the main reasons that I was choosing this career path. So.
Perfect. So what does a typical day consist of in your field?
Okay, so students normally get here about 7 o'clock. From about 7 to 7:45, they're eating breakfast and maybe doing morning work or something like that. And then we start with our small group reading blocks, which is our differentiated reading time, where students are pretty much working on whatever it is that they need to be able to progress in reading. We teach students on different levels in that class. So some may be working on sentence development, some may be working on reading comprehension, some may be working on phonics. different things like that. So we differentiate. Sometimes we do different stations and things like that, our teacher directed groups. After that, I normally do a language arts block, which consists of reading and writing. And then we normally move right into small group math, which is very similar to small group reading in the variety of differentiations that we do in that block, but it's with math. And then we normally have rotation, which can either be like computer lab, PE, something like that. And then our students go to lunch, which is, we have a late lunch. So it's about 12:40 that they go to lunch. And then we do recess. And then we have our last block of the day, which is our whole group math time. And that's on grade level.
Oh, perfect. So what do you enjoy most about your career?
I think they're students. They always keep me entertained. Everybody has a story to tell. They're just their personalities. Their everyday interactions that I have with students. That's probably the most rewarding part of just kind of getting to know each of the kids, their stories, and what makes them and unique.
Perfect. So what are some challenges that you face in your role?
I think some challenges are often sometimes, just the workload, as a teacher, sometimes we're expected to move mountains. And it sometimes can be very difficult to make those mountains move. And so you're often stressed and worked with the idea of what can I do for the best for this student. And, as a teacher, your goal is to do the best that you can for each student. So I think just the pressure that sometimes you feel attached to your job and what you're supposed to be doing.
Awesome. So how do you see your career or even your school evolving in the next 10 years?
I definitely see way more technology than what we have right now. I see, more student-led type things, more maybe even virtual learning, because, I know that with all the COVID things that have been going on, some in our county, there is an option for students to still we have a virtual academy. So some students have decided that they don't want to come back into the schools at all, and they have that option. So with that being started this year, I feel like that could be something that could, be in the next 10 years, be a new way of learning where students and parents can decide if they want to be in-person learning or virtually learning.
That's perfect. So my next question is, what kind of person do you think is successful in your field?
I think one that definitely cares, is empathetic to students, a hard worker, somebody who is goal-oriented, really wants to build a relationship with students, because I feel as a teacher, you get your best work from your students when they are respectful of you and they have a relationship with you. So just being able to relate, being relatable to my students. I love bringing music into the classroom, and doing things that I feel like kind of brings who I am into the classroom. And then a lot of times that relates to them. And I feel that often then we're able to kind of bond. And even if it's something that they don't care about or they don't want to learn about, they feel somewhat connected to me in some type of way, and I can get a little bit more out of them. So.
Awesome. And I'm deviating from the script really quick, but you said you always wanted to be a teacher, but what made you, out of all the grade levels, elementary, middle, and high school, what made you pick elementary? Because we have a lot of kids interested in elementary at this point.
Really?
Yes, very, very interested. So what made you pick elementary?
Well, I think for me, it was mostly the fact that I feel like children are molded mostly in those prime years, and so I wanted to make an impact on the world. And for me, I wanted to see how could I be the most effective? How could I have the most impact on students? And I feel like that impact sometimes is made in early years. Oftentimes when you think about it as being a parent, sometimes, like you're teaching your children all of these things of the routines and, rules of life when they're early and young, but by the time they get in middle school and high school, those are not really the things that you have to kind of practice and teach them, because they're already aware and they are knowledgeable about those things because you've already taught them that. Mm-hmm. So I feel like for me, choosing elementary was because I wanted to have the most impact on them and be able to be that kind of that first one to kind of get them and mold them into who it is that they want to be.
That's perfect. I love that explanation. I know for myself, I could not do elementary. Like I like the older kids. So that's me.
They are so funny. They are so funny.
They are that. When you tell me stories, they are funny. But I'm like, I'm scared. I'm scared. They're too little.
They're so funny.
So, what kind of, did I ask you about communication?
Mm.
Okay. What does communication look like in your field?
Well, we have a program called Class Tag. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that or if you use that in your county. But Class Tag is pretty much a technology-based system where we communicate with parents, kind of like a Facebook for the classroom. I'm able to send out quick like messages to them, either direct messages or as a group. I also, every Tuesday, we send Home Tuesday folders, which include graded work or any notes or notices that they need. We always do a weekly newsletter, and that's in there as well. I also try to do phone calls. I try to call at least every parent at least once a month to kind of let them know about their students' progress, whether good or bad, or if it's versus academically or just versus, just our personality wise. Parents love to hear about their kids, and so you want to call them before it gets bad, so I think they're more receptive to you when you are calling and talking to them about something that their child has done good rather than, the bad things. So I always try to make sure that I'm in contact with them constantly. So when I do have to call about something, it is received well.
Perfect. So, what kind of technology do you use in your field?
We have a variety of technology. All of our students have Chromebooks here. So we use those often. I have a smart board where we use that as well. And we incorporate technology daily in our classroom.
Awesome. Perfect. So what kind of classes would you recommend for a middle school or a high school student to take if they're interested in your career or one similar?
Anything that's going to get you a college prep, that's what it was called back when I was in school, but anything that's going to get you prepared. That would be my little boy who's trying not to be on the video, but still is. Anything that would prepare you for, college. And then if there are any classes that are offered in school that may be related to your field, then you should, take those as well. Anything that might, prep you for the education world. I think that would be great. That wasn't offered when I was in school that I can remember. I think that everybody kind of needs to have an idea of what they're getting into before they get into it, because you could, if they have those classes, start those classes, see if that's something that interests you. And if it does, then you can pursue it. If not, then, you could try something else out. So.
Very true. So last thing, do you have any last words of wisdom or advice for our students here at Richards?
I just think that, you can do and you can be anything it is that you want to be. I think you need to dream big and always believe in whatever it is, just because maybe your mom, dad, or family members may not have gone to college, that doesn't mean that's the same thing for you, so dream big, believe in yourself always, talk to people, ask questions. If there's something that interests you that you are not really versed on, ask somebody who is. And then they can tell you, because a lot of times what they say, closed mouths don't get fed. When you don't ask those questions, you don't know, and you're left wondering. So always, be vocal, ask questions. That's the way that we learned. And I definitely believe that having a positive mind makes positive lives. So, when you have that positive mindset, then there's nothing that you can't do.
Yes, perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time. You did an awesome job.
Thank you.